What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ask A CISSP. So my name is Ryan Williams, and this is a special episode of The Other Side of the Firewall, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. Speaking of which, I have the pleasure of having on Rico Randall. Rico, we kind of met a little bit through LinkedIn. We've talked a little bit, but everybody knows I come into these woefully unprepared on purpose because I think it makes for better conversations. I just wanted to definitely pick your brain. I know you're doing big things in the community. I want to find out about your background, your experience, as well as just your current initiatives, what you have going on in the future. I know you have a podcast as well, so I definitely want to talk about that. And then just, kind of get into more details about you and what you're doing. And then at the very end, we'll talk about everything else, movies, books, games, whatever you do aside from, your podcasting, your day job and things of that nature. So with that being said, if you give me and the audience a little bit about your background.
Cool, man. Hey, Ryan, thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, so I am actually a veteran like yourself, right? I know you retired from the Air Force. I actually did my 8 years of obligated service and ended my service right there with an honorable discharge. In the Marine Corps, my job was I was a tactical data network administrator. So TDNSC was the title, and I ended up getting out after 8 years as a staff sergeant. So I did IT the whole time I was in. A lot of it was, inside outside plans. So a lot of optical, cabling and things like that while we were out in downrange in Iraq and stuff.
Gotcha. And what stations were you at? Like, what assignments did you have?
I was stationed first in Okinawa, Japan. So I was up at Camp Schwab.
I'm jealous already.
For real?
I've been trying to get Pacific my entire career. They send me always to the Atlantic.
Yeah, we had a blast out there, bro. I did get the chance to go into Tokyo, hanging out with my friends in, Roppongi, which is, if you've been in Japan, Roppongi. So after Japan, I ended up in North Carolina with the wing. And then I ended up taking orders to MacDill Air Force Base. I supported Marcent, right?
Got you. Okay. And what year was that?
I got out in 2011.
Okay, got you. So I'm down here now, right? So I don't go anywhere near MacDill because I live in Wesley Chapel. I don't know if you know where that's at. It's like
I know exactly where that is.
Yeah,
I bought
so
my first house in Little Lakes, like across the way from you. Yeah.
Okay, that's what's up. Yeah, I was stationed at the Joint Communication Support Element, so that was my MacDill experience. So supported MagTaf, Marcent, and all those good guys as well. So small world.
It is absolutely.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say Camp Lejeune or 29 Palms because y'all always feed into those.
So the North Carolina duty station, the wing is actually like 35 minutes east of Camp Lejeune.
Got you.
So kind of not quite. I definitely was trying to not get sucked into that. It's like a black hole. They'll keep you there forever.
Yeah, it's what I hear. It's like us, and there's a few assignments like that in the Air Force too, where you were like, "Why, why not?" So why not? Why not? That's in North Dakota, and you get that
North Dakota. That sounds about like Vegas, right? It's so much to do in North Dakota, huh?
Yeah, exactly. But I don't want to get you. I want to get you off track, right? So you served in a technical MOS, and is that kind of what led you to your next steps? Like, what did you do after you finish your time in the Marine Corps?
Yeah, so coming into it, I actually, funny enough, my reviewing officer, when I got down to MacDill, he retired right shortly. Well, I won't say shortly, probably like a year, 2 years before I got out. He retired and took a role over at U.S. CENTCOM with SCIC. And at the time, they were kind of like going through quite a bit of churn in the administration, at the higher levels, middle management levels. But he kind of worked his way up, and got reached out to him. He said, hey, because I have a twin brother. We both joined, did the same stuff, worked in the same units and stuff like that. So he reached out to us and he was like, hey, we're looking for some rock stars to kind of, help, move some things around over here at CENTCOM. When you guys getting out? And my brother got out before I did, a few months before I did. So he was the first to roll over into that role over there at U.S. CENTCOM on the server team. And I got out some months after that. So I was one of the few lucky ones that transitioned out already with a job in hand. So, I kind of fretted about it for a while, like coming up into it, because, you're like, all right, I'm getting out. how am I gonna get a job? What's this gonna feel like? What's it gonna look like? That kind of deal. So, and that's actually how I ended up getting the CISSP. So it was around the time when the CompTIA was going to the CE, right, version.
Right.
They were getting ready to convert over. So, I was so smart, right? So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and knock it out before the C's so I don't have to renew. Right.
Me and you both.
Yeah. So I did Net Plus. I did Sec Plus first, November that year. And then that December, that very next month, I knocked out Net Plus, which I already know people are screaming like, that's the wrong order. I just wanted to get them done. So I was sitting around with some of my friends talking, and I'm thinking, all right, so what cert do I need to do next, right? And there's one guy, he was information assurance staff sergeant, and he was like, well, you can do the CISSP. And I'm green. I don't know. What's that? What's the CISSP, bro?
Right.
And he's like, well, I can explain it to you. The best way to explain it to you is like this. If you got two people, one's a CISSP, one's not, the one without the CISSP is out looking for jobs. And the person with the CISSP, he's got jobs good for him. I'm like, bet. Okay, cool. So I was all right, well, I'm getting out. I think I had like 6 months left. I'm getting out in 6 months. I'm going to go ahead and knock this out. I don't have to plan on like doing this like 3 or 4 months. And this was 2011, right? And he was like, no, it doesn't work like that. Like, bro, like, it's going to take about, 18 months, maybe. You may be able to trim it down to 12, but even then, you're expected to have X number of years of experience in this space already before you even try to attempt. And then it's like okay because the attrition's so bad that it's almost accepted that you'll fail it like 1 or 2 times. And I was like, well, I don't care. He's like, yo, you don't waste money, Bob. I used the Sean Harris all-in-one. I had a crazy amount of resources, even though the resources were so slim back then. I had Sean Harris's all-in-one. Bosun's audio. That was the only audio at the time. CISSP for Dummies. It was a lot of learning, but I was able to clear it. I cleared it in 3 months.
That's very impressive.
3 months of studying, no boot camp.
Yeah, that shows that not only just your ability to learn and learn quickly, but also the background you already currently had, right? The stuff you were doing back in 2010, 2011 to help you with that as well, right? To combine your experience with the stuff that you're learning, because there's so many domains like that. That's super impressive. I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit before we got in the lobby. But now the timeline makes sense to me. So in 2010, 2011, so what was it? I think it was 2010. 2010 is when I got my Net Plus, Sec Plus. Is when the military was figuring out the whole 8570 and what certs do you need. And they didn't know for my specific career field if I was going to need Net Plus or Sec Plus. Obviously, everybody was going to need Sec Plus, but DOD was still figuring it out. So they sent me to boot camps for it. And so when I was finishing my Sec Plus, Net Plus, you were getting your CISSP. So that's pretty crazy right there. So you've held it for, what is that, about 8-9 years now?
I was like 13.
13, I'm sorry. I can't count.
12, 13.
12, 13 years now. Yeah.
Hey, my math may not be math either.
The divide between us is 8 years. There it is. I was like, what is math and math? And so, so you've had it for about 8 years, longer than I had it myself. And so with that, and I don't want to derail you too much, but I want to ask this question before I forget. So when you were able to make that transition with the CISSP, did what your staff sergeant come to fruition, right? Like, was it like, now that you have this certification, your experience, your discipline, was it easy for you to make that transition, or was it still kind of challenging?
So it wasn't a hard transition, leaving service because, like I was saying, saying earlier, I'd already used my social network, I guess, my previous boss had already, reached out. So I was kind of really looking just to kind of have something to leverage, negotiations, just to be honest. Like, all right,
that makes sense. Yeah.
But as far as to answer your question, though, the best that I could, I would say that it did make options available.
Gotcha.
It's definitely a good negotiation tool because there are some programs that have a hard requirement for that kind of thing. So if you find one of those, it'll open some doors for you with respect to that. And also, it's still a very highly regarded cert.
I was going to say, it's still less than, either is 250,000 of us or less than 250,000 of us, as opposed to a lot of other certs, right? Like Security Plus, Plus. Not to dog them out, right? But when the DoD flipped to those certifications, it kind of caused the pool to grow exponentially because either you get it or you get out. Yep. So a lot of people were getting it, obviously to be retained. So no, that's good information. So no, but I guess the reason I was kind of trying to get to that, because you did explain that you already had something lined up, like leveraging your social network, which we stress that a lot, both here on this podcast and the other side of the firewall. It's easier for you to get a job with someone who knows your background and your experience than it is to put a resume on a desk of a stranger. It's better for you to have to give them a resume later on. Like, okay, well, I know this guy. Let me get his resume so I can, give it to the hiring manager. But no, I asked that question because a lot of us don't stay in the first job very long. So was that your experience? Did you keep that or retain that job for a time, or did you do like a lot of transitioning military members and they're out in like 6-7 months?
That's a really good point. Really good question. I actually stayed for a while. Usually I hear like, around 3 to 5, I guess. The first role I got out of the Marine Corps, I was there for maybe 6 or 7 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. No, that's definitely on the other side of the spectrum, right? Because some people, they might last a couple of weeks. I think the average right now they're saying is a year or less. But for that amount of time, not only did you probably enjoy the mission and what have you, but they also were giving you something that you enjoyed doing. Because a lot of us get our first taste of civilian work. Either it's like the Goldilocks thing. Either it's ops too high, it's too boring, or it's just right. So for you, it sounded like it was just right.
I mean, yeah, it was cool. I really enjoyed the culture. People in the military, camaraderie is like huge. And I won't say it's not for people that are in the military, but it's especially huge for people that are in the military, because these people you're deploying with and doing that kind of things. That's a pretty good ties. In where I was. I guess the thing that kind of changes is, we all just started kind of growing up. And it feels like when you get out of the military, right, you're a contractor, and it's like, okay. It's almost like the next step in your evolution, because you just evolved, moving, transition out. It's this evolutionary step. It's like the next order of businesses to, move in with like maybe a VAR or MSP, or, move higher, in the, I guess, higher in the food chain, which that may not be the right way of saying it, but that's kind of how it felt or seen, because we always had vendors coming, right, and doing the advanced level work. We got to get Dell, or we got to get VMware to come in and do this kind of, work and whatever. So it just kind of like, breeds and stuff like that.
No, that makes sense. Because a lot of us, like you said, there's always somebody else in the hierarchy, right? Like we're doing a lot of, not to say we're not doing a lot of technical work, because we are. For the most part, I see more of us doing technical work depending on the branch, right? And then you have warrants, and they're more technical and things of that nature. Officers, not knocking them, but they're not technical at most things, right? Unless they're flying a jet or a helicopter or something like that. They're more managerial. You
guys didn't have warrants, right?
No, you're talking about it now, and it's making me mad. Like I want to, I was like, I want to be a warrant, right? I was like, I got these certs, I got this degree, let me jump over, right? But no, the Air Force was like, nah, we ain't doing that. But it was beneficial for me while I was in, though, because we got to be a lot more technical. We owned our network because we didn't have that top covered. But at the same time, it's always nice to have another step, right? Because everybody doesn't want to be right? They want to still stay technical, and that's where those warrants fall. So a lot of us, when we do joint service, like joint communication support element, and we see warrants in the Army and other services, we cross over branches. Yeah. So I had a lot of friends who went Army, or they went Navy to be a warrant, or I think it's called a limited duty officer, LDO. In the Navy.
LDO, different in transition.
Yeah, so I saw a lot of those cool transitions and what have you. But no, so you go from enlisted to contractor. You do that for a good amount of time, which is very impressive, because a lot of people are just like I said, they're like in and out, especially with contracts, right? Like people change, they call it flipping polos. People change polos a lot, is what I'm starting to see. Yeah. But no, it's good that you had a stable experience, right? And that's good for them, that you're providing them continuity, which there's not a lot of that in the DoD in general.
Yeah.
Did you stay in contracting, or have you gone private? Like, what are you doing now?
So currently I work for Red Hat. I'm a senior consultant with a focus on container infrastructure. So I do a lot of work on, a lot of you guys know it's Kubernetes. Downstream from Kubernetes is going to be OpenShift. That's with our, our secret sauce, I guess, on top of Kubernetes. It's probably the easiest way to explain that. But yeah, I did the government contract for a while. You know, leaving U.S. Income, I took a role where I built a cross-domain solution, did a lot of traveling, you know, with the Army and the Navy, installing that system and also installing their networks onto that system as a managed COI. And then I moved on and did some other things, got introduced to declarative code, and I started building another encryption-based solution, which was it was a CDS. It's a cross domain, not a cross domain, but it's a CDS. It's a networking type security based tool. Leaving that role, that was the last role I was in before I ended up with Red Hat.
Okay, and with your transition to Red Hat, because when I click on your profile, I do see a lot of familiar faces, right?
Yeah.
And excuse me for not like my vocabulary is very limited right now. I've been up all day.
You good, bro? You good?
Trying to really get this 3-day weekend in.
I'm from Georgia, so my vocabulary is probably more limited than yours.
Well, yeah, I saw a lot of names of people that I either worked with when I was down here in Florida, or people who came from other areas as well, but in that space, right, working for Red Hat or adjacent to Red Hat. How was that transition? Was that again another social networking transition, or was that more of I want to do something different, I'm going to pursue this path?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I kind of went through a period of not really pushing myself. Really, I kind of got comfortable with where I was. One of the issues with the work that I was doing was it wasn't really as expansive, right? It wasn't really, you know, on the cutting edge. So it kind of had me getting lazy a little bit. But back when VMware had acquired Carbon Black, I went through trying to, you know, get a role on that. That was my first push to try to get on with a vendor. They really enjoyed my virtualization experience because, you know, I started with virtualization when the DoD was really just getting on it, like back when it was GSX. So I saw that whole transition from GSX to ESX to ESXi.
Okay.
And did, you know, play with all the different tools from server to desktop virtualization, all the way up to the two flavors of network virtualization that they had. But I didn't get the role. Got to the final interview, didn't get the role. They said I needed, you know, more work on my my Linux acumen. I was all right. Let me work on building my Linux acumen up to the level of my Microsoft and my virtualization, because I could speak that stuff. Yeah, I still help people because I was actually just working on SOCOM project through Red Hat. I wrote up like maybe 2 weeks ago, but I was helping people with like Microsoft issues and stuff like that, because I still remember the stuff, you know. But yeah, I didn't get those roles, and I always ask for feedback. That's, you know, if I know you have a specific audience, but if there's anybody listening that has any concerns about the interview process, one thing that I would tell you to do, always have questions, and make one of your questions be, hey, what kind of constructive feedback would you give me to make myself a stronger candidate moving forward if I were to come back for another, you know, role or another interview?
That's fine advice. That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So based on that question, it was revealed that, yeah, I need to spin myself up on my Linux a little bit tighter. And so I went through, found all of the social apps and whatnot to find like meetups and stuff like that in the area. Trying to find a study group. That's when I kind of ran up on Women Linux. So Women Linux, I grabbed a crowd load of resources, and I just kind of went to work. The group was cool. I really liked the cohesion and people just kind of like working with each other. It didn't really, it helped a lot, but I found myself answering more questions than I was asking. But that was dope. And the thing that I liked about what Tamika did was she has like almost like a whole ecosystem where there's people that she's helping, you know, spin up on different technologies in the community, because they did Linux, Kubernetes, a lot of some programming stuff too. But she would also post like roles, like recs and stuff like that would be posted, current news in the industry. So it was a good place to kind of like get most of what you would need to, you know, get started and to kind of like maintain your knowledge base and move around the industry, just in that one community. But they posted a role on Red Hat, and I was like, Rico, you know this stuff, so why don't you apply? And I kind of didn't want to at first, because I was like, I had 15 years of experience with VMware. and they didn't pick me up, whatever. But they taught me into doing it, right? And I applied to it because at that point I had already passed RCSA.
Okay.
That's another beast of an exam. Not quite the length of time as the CISSP. It's a 3-hour exam, but it was definitely a tough one. But I passed the RTSA and they kind of talked me into it, so I applied, and 4 months later, we had an offer letter in hand, and I was on top of the world for a good little minute.
No, and that's what's up, and it's good to see that both you finding a community or a tribe, right, that instilled that confidence in you to make that push, and for you to be able to contribute back to them. So a lot of people don't feel comfortable with the mentorship piece of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily military folk, right? Like we're always, at least what I see, people who transition out of the military, veterans are always more apt to be I'm going to say wingman, but like, whatever your service is, a battle buddy,
100%. Yeah.
To share that. So it's good to see that you still do that in the community, which leads me to the pivot, right? So I see that you have a podcast. It's DEM Tech Folks. I want to say DEM.
Yeah, it's
I don't know if that's
DEM.
okay. Yeah, I was like, I don't know if that's what you're going for.
Yeah, it's a play on the Ebonics. So yeah,
I like it. Yeah, them
DEM
Tech Folks. So I was like, yeah, I definitely got to get them on the show. Well, so honestly, it was when we made contact with each other, it was your picture first. And I was like, yeah, he's coming on the show. With the red hat on. I was like, I know exactly what's happening here. But then when I saw you were also a podcaster, I was like, oh yeah, we got to definitely talk. Because again, it's about building community, right? So I didn't even know you were a vet. That's even, it's icing on the cake right there. But it's the finding people who have diverse backgrounds, who are in this space that, are people of color, because there's not a lot of us. When we leave the military, it's eye-opening.
Yeah.
How there's not a lot of us in the room, but then to find somebody who's giving back to the community, who is, out here, projecting a presence as well, to show like, hey, we do this as well, and be able to be a subject matter expert and speak on it. I was like, yeah, I definitely have to connect with this person and get them on the show, not only because he can elaborate and share with the audience, and then we can hopefully have some synergy between the two of our demographic, I guess you could say, but also for future collaboration, things of that nature. I'm trying to line up an Avengers type squad, right?
Yes,
I want to
sir.
get as many people as I can in this space so we can all get together and do something special. So why did you create your podcast? What is the platform for? And like what are you currently doing with it?
Yeah, straight up. So I created the podcast because of the experience that I'm sure you have as well, especially when you go back home and people find, oh, what are you doing that for us? And you tell them, oh, you work in IT? I've been thinking about getting in IT. Or I got a friend that's been wanting to get in IT or whatever. How do I get in? And the first question you have for them is, well, what do you want to do?
Right. What do you want to do?
So it's a huge space, right? So getting that question a lot and just kind of struggling, fumbling my way through, trying to help people identify a path that they can, that they can traverse. Why don't we just do a show, right? And I was like, well, we can do a show where we interview people, because I got a pretty good network. I know a lot of people that have different stories, so let's do it. A lot of different people from different areas of the industry, a lot of, with different, walks of life. I've had people on my show that, were working on a cruise ship, busting tables on a cruise ship. Guys that, took internships from college with, NASA and stuff like that, all the way down to people that kind of like converted from, some other, walk of life. And obviously the military stuff is pretty prevalent in my circles. So that was the whole motivation behind it, just finding some way for people to tap into the stories of others so they can piece together, their own fabric, put their own path together they can kind of traverse. But yeah.
No, that's dope. I think you said you've been doing it for roughly 2 years or almost 2 years.
Yeah, we started last year, and this is our second year right here.
That's what's up. So if people wanted to find the podcast, where would they go? What platforms are you on?
We're on any podcasting platform. We're on YouTube. The easiest way to see a full list of where you can find our stuff is if you can go to developeverymind.com. That's what DEM stands for, Develop Every Mind.
Yeah, I like that. Okay.
Yeah, that'll take you straight to our link tree where you can consume straight from that link tree, or you can go to the platform directly to our our presence.
Okay. And then all that stuff will be in the description as well, right? So make sure we capture all that. So I know that you say that it helps you to be able to have that conversation with people. I always ask people this question, right? Since your path was different, it's similar to mine and my other calls as well, right? Because we're all veterans. So right now I have 3 Air Force vets and 1 Navy vet on the show, and we all have very similar pathways into getting in. But what is your recommendation? Like if somebody wants to let's do something a little bit different. Somebody's trying to be a career switcher. They see cybersecurity, they're interested in it, but they're doing something totally different. What would you recommend that where do they start at to begin to bridge that gap?
Good question. So, I mean, you absolutely start where you are, right? And your next step in that journey to figure out your steps after that is to find someone that can help you figure out what your next steps are. What that means, and what that means is find somebody that's in the space or get to as close as you can to someone that can speak authoritative on the space, right? What those prerequisites are, what the milestones are that matter, what stumbling blocks you may run into that you can potentially avoid because they had to traverse them themselves. So find mentorship or coaching. So you got mentorship, coaching, and advocacy. I would say for this situation, a mentorship is what you would need up front just to kind of set you straight on the right path, right? Once you've identified a path, then you would, seek out coaching, which could be the same person as your mentor. And as you find yourself being prepared and competitive for different roles, as you're searching for roles, you want to try to lock in advocacy. And advocacy is special in that it's a person that can speak on your behalf in a room that you're not present in, if that makes sense.
It definitely, because that's definitely what we need in this space. I'll have people who reach out sometimes and they ask the question, how can I help even though I'm not a person of color, right? I'm like, well, you're already in the space. So for you, it would be more of a hand up. Like, can you, like you said, can you be an advocate? Can you be a mentor? The person doesn't have to look like you, sound like you, right? But you can instill some kind of like mentorship, some kind of pathway, some kind of roadmap of like, this is what worked for me, might not necessarily work for you, but you can take pieces of this, right? And then adopt it and, adapt and overcome, hopefully. And then when we're in that room, we're talking about candidates, just like we did in the military. You speak up for that person. When people are doubting them based upon no reason at all, you say, hey, this person, like, I know this individual, I know what they're capable of doing, and I can speak on their behalf, right? And then you die on that hill.
Yeah, because I mean, that was one of the first things we kind of discussed when we got in this conversation, right? We were saying how we share, there's a lot of overlap in our networks, right? There's a lot of people that we have in common, that are in both of our networks. So it's just that easy where people say, hey, we're looking at bringing in Ryan for this role. I know that dude, I can either speak highly on you or I can speak otherwise. And you definitely want people to always be speaking highly with regard to your work ethic and all those other qualities that people are looking for with candidates.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, I'm glad I asked the question because I'm trying to I'm slowly building up like this chart of just I don't know what to call it, right? Like it's kind of like, man, I'm gonna have to cut a lot of this out. What's the word I'm looking for? It's like, how you do a
you talking about
diagram. You're like, if, then this, then that, and I'm just trying to figure out different pathways.
It's a flow, not a flow chart, but it's
kind of. Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Because it's there's no one stop shop, no one size fits all for people who are trying to cross over. But there are a lot of overlap. There's a lot of things where I might have this experience, you have this experience, and then when I ask people questions, I'm like, I can see that, or I've seen that in the past, right? And these people are coming cold from the other side of like. I've talked to a lady who was a stewardess, and now she's an engineer, right? But it was not only her intelligence and acumen that got her over here, but it was just very specific to her and her skills. But there's other people out there that are just like her that may be trying to get in. So I'm trying to capture all that and then somehow be able to put it out there. Yeah. I got a GPT I'm working on.
and the other thing that people kind of discount is that, she was a stewardess, right? And you would look on the surface, you would say, yeah, she don't have any experience, right? Nothing to offer, right, for this role. She got to work from zero. Not true, right? There's a lot of transferable skills from whatever industry you're moving out of that correlates directly to this, right? Soft skills are king. You know, tech skills are cool, but your soft skills, people would rather take a person that's pleasant to work around and cool and train them up on the tech over a
Right.
person that's a rock star, but nobody wants to work with them. You know,
Right.
and
Exactly.
that's just what it is. One of the big things that we're talking about now in Red Hat on we have kind of like a weekly it's almost like a show where we have people do demos and show a lot of products and stuff like that. We talk about that kind of stuff. There's a special segment we've been doing that's huge on soft skills, you know,
Right.
because a lot of people, we sleep on soft skills and don't really understand the potential damage you can have, or the gains that you don't realize by not having those skills, at your command.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad that, so we're kind of on the same side of it, because I think for her, I was like, well, when it comes to incident response and disaster preparedness and things of that nature, like you're in a metal tube, 30,000 feet above the ground. If it goes down, you're the person I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Like, solve this issue. Like, what do I need to do next, right? Because I didn't read the pamphlet. I didn't watch you when you was doing the thing with the belt.
For real, because I was playing the game on my phone.
Yeah, I had my headphones on. So I was like, you have a lot of these transferable things that, are going to work out in your favor. And not to mention, like, she's just a go-getter, right? Like, most people were trying to make that transition. When you talk to them, they're like, I don't really know technical stuff. And you start talking about things that are what they perceive to not be technical. And you're like, no, you know a lot of stuff. Like, you have all these skills. You just need a little bit more confidence. You need the vocabulary to go with it, right? So, no, that's great. It's good to see that we're pretty much on the same sheet of music when it comes to that. You have the background, you have the experience. You're a veteran in this space, and now you're sharing that with the through the podcast. So what's next? Before we get to the segment where we're talking about the offline stuff. So what do you currently still online, right? Like you engaged in your business and what you have going on, because I see you have MBA as well. Like what are your next steps to develop either within what you're currently doing or your own thing?
My thing is,
Or both.
it's a legacy conversation for me.
Okay.
And I'm not really just only talking about my kids. I'm a dad as well. My oldest is starting nursing school in the fall,
Man.
and transferring over to medical school. She's going for gynecology, so a lot of school.
That's awesome. Like out of high school, or it's still in college and then transitioning?
She's a sophomore at Valdosta State right now.
At which one?
Valdosta State in Georgia.
Okay, got you. Okay, that's what's up. So my oldest just turned 18. She graduates next week. She's going in for nursing.
Congrats,
so she's USF for nursing this summer. So I'm super proud.
I tried getting down to USF, man, but she had some of her cousins, I think, was up there, and some friends, and you know how it is. So
yeah,
I ain't mad at her, bro.
Right.
But from a legacy perspective, I'm really big on giving back. It was quite a challenge for me starting out. I always felt, and that might have been some imposter syndrome, but earlier on, I just felt like I was the person that wasn't getting it when I was in the Marine Corps learning this stuff, and it was a huge challenge. So now I've learned to learn tech. Any tech that I learn, I try to learn it to the degree that I can break it down into a digestible way that a person that's non-technical can say, okay, I get it now. So I was a technical trainer, for some years before I started my MBA. And that was one of the things that the students enjoyed most about me, because as everybody else just puts on a video, but with me, I like hitting that whiteboard. Let's get to it, ask some questions, and we'll draw some stuff up, non-traditional stuff if we need to, but I'll go wherever I need to go once I find out where you are to get that stuff to stick and make it understandable. And I think that's the problem that we have now as a community. There's not enough patience to people in how they traverse their journey. So yeah, my next step is to really do more in the community. Right now, me and my twin brother both military vets. He works more in the cloud space, whereas I do more in the automation on hybrid cloud space. But we both volunteer at the local Boys and Girls Club where we teach STEM. So I've been teaching some 8-year-olds binary conversions, and that's very interesting.
Okay.
But, it's interesting because I was teaching them binary, which obviously requires a level of math. They struggle. You could see the ones that were a little deficient in the math department, but after like 2 weeks of coming back, now it's like, all right, they don't even want to like pull out their adrenal kids. Like they want to pull the whiteboards out and do binary, you know, because they want to show us, and they like that we're interested in them and them, pursuing more. So, the legacy situation for me is more community, because I feel like every kid should be our kids, and it'll be so worth it. Right, and I said it's on a show. It'd be so worth it for me, like 20 years from now, to see, this young CEO, talking at a press conference, talking about how he got started up with, Mr. Rico teaching him something. That's how he got interested in tech and just kind of like took it from there.
Right.
That's what it's about.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's good. I want to say that that's a first, where it's when I was talking to, like, everyone is giving back to community that I talk to, but for you, legacy is so important. And then that's to the forefront of the discussion. So again, that's being selfless. That's the giving back to community.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, because I do that, and also like right now I also run. It's kind of like a study group where I'm helping some members of the community prep for RHCSA.
Okay.
It's not like a class, and then like it's strictly a study group where we use a tool called Kahoot, and also have them presenting, because like I say, I'm really big on soft skills. So not only do you learn the skill, I want to see you present it and articulate yourself in a way that is understandable, that really certifies your level of knowledge.
Right.
It's the money is cool, and the money is very good on the side, right? But I use the money just to kind of like facilitate me being able to reach more people.
Okay. No, that's what's up.
Yeah.
So again, like you're making awesome moves in the community. So I can't wait to see what you do next. And if you have anything where I can help out, I would love to do that as well. Just so I can, it's something about working with people who have a common background, right? To do something that's bigger than us. It makes me feel like I'm back in the suit, but not having to deal with all the crap.
Yeah.
Like, because I don't want to go back to that.
Green suit, right?
Yeah, like not back in the. I want to do the red tape stuff. I just want to do when we used to go out and we used to volunteer. We used to, feed people and all that other stuff. I want to do all that without having to,
go
show up
that.
15 minutes before the 15 minutes before the 15.
Exactly.
No, so that's what's up.
Is what we used to call it.
Man, listen, I tell people, like, if I'm on hold for too long, like, I got a special set of skills. I could be here all day. All right. Like, I got the patience. But so before we wrap this up, right, before we land this plane, what else you're doing outside of the community service, the podcast, the 9 to 5? What are you doing to unwind? It could be vacation. It could be a book. It could be anything. It could be the latest beef between Drake and Kendrick Lamar.
I won't even take a side on that one, bro. I won't. Not on camera. Yeah, so I definitely I have some work to do in our department, right? Mostly what I do now is I'm doing some work in my yard. I just put up a brick wall. It's interesting. It sounds pretty simple, but it was very complicated the way I did it. But I'm working on doing that and also doing some traveling. One of my brothers, my older brother, he actually just moved over to a new country. So I've been stacking the chips up so I can kind of take the family over there, spend some time in a new country, just taking in different vibes, man. I definitely like traveling. I did a lot of it back in 2019, a lot of international traveling. So I just want to like get into doing more of that, because I'm the guy that's like I'll go and talk to random people, right? I'm an introvert, and that's like that's my reaction to being like nervous. I just started talking to people, right? And doing random things. It'd be cool to get out there and learn another culture and interface with people in a different space.
Now, so speaking, like, I'm trying to get back into travel as well. Like, yeah, the same thing. 2019 was great, and then the pandemic hit, and everything went to a halt.
Yeah.
It's very hard to get back into the rhythm. Everything's still it's getting better, right? But you remind me of a funny memory I had. So I was in Morocco. It was either 2018 or 2019 for exercise, right? And I'm walking around doing all the local touristy stuff. I'm eating the food, having a good time. Like, people were super nice. I saw a black couple riding a camel in the distance. I was like, I've been trying to find a camel ride. I'm gonna hit them up and see how they like it. So, I'm walking over there, like, okay, I'm gonna introduce myself and figure out, who they are and what they're doing. And as I'm approaching them, I realized that they're speaking French.
Oh, yeah. It'd
And
be
I
like
was
that.
like,
Yeah.
ah.
It'd be like that.
And they
And
waved at me, right? And I just waved at them and walked away. I was like,
because you don't speak French, do you?
oh, no, not at all.
But it's crazy, man, because
Yeah.
like in other countries, it's like that, right? And I've been over there, and you have somebody that comes up assuming that you speak the language because it's not it's different than it is over here.
Yeah,
I just say it
I'm
like
like,
that.
nah, I'm American. Just speak English.
Yeah, exactly.
Try, but I never grasp it, right? But yeah, that's funny you reminded me of that. But yeah, I definitely want to also get some more travel in. Hopefully, it might not be this year, maybe next year, but I'm gonna get Japan. Like we kind of talked about it. I tried to get there my whole career, and they sent me to great places, right? I lived in Germany, Sicily. I visited Morocco 4 times, Israel, 2, 3 times. Like I was all over that part of the world.
Yeah.
They would not send me to Japan. They would put
Wow.
Korea down. Everybody says you put Korea down, you're going. You
That's
think
crazy.
Korea, you're going to Korea. I wrote Korea down, and they sent me to Turkey.
Wow. That's crazy.
I was
man.
like, yo, what is going on?
Yeah, Japan was my first time being international, bro. I was in Japan. Flew straight there.
These days, I'm gonna get over there though. But no, this was a dope conversation, man. I appreciate you taking the time. Like in the near future, I'm gonna ask you about your setup because I'm lacking over here because I changed the office, so the space is all jacked up. But the mic and the headphones look dope, so I definitely want to ask you about your setup. But yeah, for anybody who's listening, please continue to tune in throughout the week, right? So we drop an episode every week. So Monday and Tuesday are our topics. Wednesday discussion. Thursdays is the Ask A CISSP. So you'll see an interview like this with us and Rico. This week should be, or I guess in the past, because this will be the future, you'll have heard one by Delisha Hodo. She works at Stance Institute, so you'll have to listen to that one. And then this one will be right up after it. So we're pretty booked out, which I'm super proud of. I'm glad people actually want to come here and talk to me. And then I'm also, build on my network. I'm going to have my Avenger moment one of these days is coming up. And then the Friday episodes, everything else, so movies, books, games, all that good stuff. We talk about everything that's non-cyber related, just to unwind, right? So each episode gets an article, and all those articles are tied up and wrapped up on Friday. They go out as the weekly rundown, as a newsletter. So please subscribe. We're over 1,200 now. We're just trying to get our numbers up on YouTube, and we need some ratings. So we don't have a lot of ratings on the audio podcast platforms of choice. So please go ahead and leave us some feedback or critique and some stars of some sort. Greatly appreciate it. You can find me on LinkedIn, Clubhouse, IG, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and pretty much everywhere else you can think of as at RY Security Guy. That's RY Security Guy. And where can I find you, Rico?
They can find me on the same. Actually, I got lingo with you on Clubhouse. I didn't know you was on Clubhouse.
Yeah, I've been meaning to actually do a event. Like I gotta start doing more live stuff because I do everything recorded, man. It's a control thing.
So
definitely.
We can tackle that one together, bro. Because this is like one of the biggest things for me, bro. Like I really want like us, to kind of come together and do more collaborative efforts so we can kind of push each other forward. Keep
absolutely.
each other honest on it. And that's not the and I don't just not include everybody else.
Right.
But my focus, right, is on killing this lack of representation that's still rampant through the industry.
Right. No, absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly. That's what the platform is. I don't shy away from it. Like I have people of all colors come on the show, right? But the platform is for people of color to break into this industry. Definitely. So we should definitely do that. I'm going to have all of the things you mentioned and all the places they can find you also within the description. So please check that out. And then aside from that, just keep coming back, right? We're up to almost 600 episodes, so I'm going to keep it going. Stay safe, stay secure.